morning everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming and via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, Spiritualizing the Tantric Sex, Sutra 1. These days there is so much of work. I have started a different strategy in work. The having live communions with the seekers who are interested more. It is like question answer sessions, individual, person to person, and the talks are sometimes via video, sometimes via messenger or WhatsApp, and these all have been transcribed as book by the person who starts the process. I am no more author of these things, whereas everything is spoken, shared by me. So the first of this, as the diary of a seeker, entitled Life, Love and Light, is published from Amazon on Kindle in the book form, in the paperback, hardbound, and as ebook. I have to get the link and post it for you. And the second one, Light Onto Yourself, is on the way. This morning I was completing the chapter Energy and Chakras. How does these two are related to one another? There is, so far I had finished the ordinary way. Then there is Hindu Pantheon. This we need to understand very clearly. I had mentioned in your office, in your work, there are different departments. Different departments. One is if the firm is big, then let's say it's a construction firm. There are construction engineers, cost analysts, the IT people, the surveyors, the typists, so on and so forth. They are all working under one energy, one concept. That is the concept of the firm. It is not a medical firm that is dealing with the patients or hospitals, but it is dealing, the one is the project manager, then under him there are the engineers, all these people there. If we take this analogy and put it into Hindu pantheon, they say that there are the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, Shiva. So if these people are given that kind of a status, they have one role to perform, but their roles are interconnected with one another. The one who is the engineer, project engineer, he has a different qualities and different role to perform. And we adore that person, we require his assistance when a project has to start. But he is not the alone. Then the cost analysis person comes in. He is an expert in that field. His job is only to take care of that part. So he works in connection with that. Then there are IT people. IT people does not have anything to do with construction or going on the site or anything, but they are providing all the IT assistance to all those people in that. So in the same way, all these psychocenters or chakra work in the process of your transformation, of your growth from fetus, from the ignorant one to aware, and that is very important. So we have to see things in a greater perspective with an understanding, not a narrow identity or a narrow understanding. As far as the role of these, as Hindus call as deity, is important, that is needed for me, but I am not going to worship them or do the things, because that is a different level. My level is different, and I am taking you to that level that you come out like very clearly. You can understand when a child begins to study, read. His books are more illustrative. They have bigger pictures and bigger letters, more pictures. When he learns the alphabet, there is a picture, apple, and then written there apple. So he identifies apple, and then so he connects between the two. As time goes on, the pictures starts getting smaller and smaller. Pictures start getting removed, and the letters also get smaller and smaller. Because for a grown-up person, you don't need the illustrated book with the pictures of apple and apple written on the other side. You don't need that. Only a child who is growing in that process it needs. So a stage is, the journey goes into the stages. This book is for the infant, so there are experts who write those books for the experts, and they are the teachers who are teaching in the primary school, then in the secondary school, then in the universities, and then the person goes on his own in the process of learning. So this is how the entire system goes on. So because of that, it got a little bit delayed this morning as I was just trying to finalize that chapter, energy and the chakras. How does these function, and what is their interconnectivity, and what does this happen? The first sutra in this process says, at the start of the sexual union, keep attentive on the fire in the beginning, and so continuing, avoid the embers in the end. There is a beginning and there is an end. So when you are starting the spiritual sexual union, be attentive on the fire in the beginning. Fire in the beginning. But so continuing, avoid the embers in the end, the excitement in the end. It is the process which is more important. Sex can be a very deep fulfillment, and sex can throw you back to your wholeness. This is what happens when we go into man is a positive charge, positive energy. In electrical connection, there is a power, positive energy and the negative energy. It is not in the other sense. Positive energy that comes from the outside source. The negative energy is generated from the body itself. And when these two merge together, there is a constant striving for attraction for one another. So man is a positively charged energy. Woman is a negative charged energy. That's why there is so much of attraction between the two. And when the union, the attraction brings the two people together, but because of your unconsciousness, it never gives the fulfillment. But the moment the search for the complementary happens consciously, knowing the various aspects, attributes of these centers, and if you have really understood your chakras, you will know who you are, you will know your capabilities, you will know everything that is needed for you. And so many things are there put in a very ordinary manner so that one can understand without any complications. So this becomes difficult when you are putting a complicated subject in an ordinary, easy to understand language. So sex can be a great fulfillment. It can bring satiation into you. It can take you back to your wholeness, to your natural real being for many reasons. Those reasons have to be understood. 1. Sex is a total act. You are thrown off the mind of balance. That is why there is so much fear of sex, because it throws you off the mind, off the balance. You are identified as you are with the mind, and sex is an act of no mind when mind does not exist. Mind is always against sex. When the mind means conditionings. Mind means your upbringing. Whatever has been put into your mind, that forms the nature of the mind. And journey of sex begins when all these conditionings vanish and you attain to a state of no mind. You become headless. You do not have any head in the act. If your head goes on during the act, it will not give you satiation. Head means if you think you are this, you are a great scientist, you are an IT person, you are this, you are that, head has come in. And then if your wife is also, partner is also working in the same organization under you, then another problem comes in. So like this, you become headless, you do not have any head in the act, there is no reasoning, no mental process, and if there is any mental process, there is not going to be real, authentic, fulfilling sex act. Then there is no orgasm, no fulfillment. If you are engaged in the act and thinking about something else. This is why in Zen it is said that you are a Buddha, ordinary Buddha, awakened, because what we do, we are eating food, a morsel in our mouth, the next one in the hand, because as soon as it is finished you stuff it, and the eyes are fixed on the platter what is there. And now one thing more we do, we are eating food, engaged in so many talks, nonsensical. Most of them are nonsensical. We consider that it is important that while we are eating we must talk. A Zen master was asked what you used to do. He said, I used to pull the water from the well, chop the wood, carry it up the hill, and now what you do after enlightenment, I do the same thing. Pull the water, chop the wood, carry the water up the hill. Then what is the difference? Difference is when I am chopping the wood, I am chopping the wood. My eyes are not focused on the sound of the WhatsApp message or the messenger message. Although you have closed the phone and put it aside, but yet still your ears are focused on the sound because you have been expecting a message from someone. So when I sleep, I sleep. When I eat, and that time I don't do anything else. But then something can happen. And if your act can become like that, then the sex act itself becomes a local thing. If you are thinking at that time, just as when you are eating and your focus is on something else, your eating is cerebral and it will not satiate you. Firstly, you are eating what you are eating, whether it is nutritious or not, to what quantity you are supposed to eat, when to eat and when not to eat. It is said that when you are having the breakfast, you eat as if you are the king. Lunchtime, the food should be very simple. You can eat for breakfast many complicated things, but for lunch, very simple food. And eat dinner as if you are a beggar. And that too not after sunset. But all our dinner parties are late parties. Whether anyone likes it or not, I do not participate unless it is very, very essential. And then too, I will eat only very light. And these days, for many years, I have cut off all these things. I do not go any such functions, whether anyone likes it or not. That is my way. I don't eat after sunset. All over the world there is so much of hankering, there is so much lust for sex. Is not because the world has become more sexual. It is because you cannot even enjoy sex as a total act, and you are not into it totally. The world was more sexual before. That is why there was no such hankering for sex. The hankering for sex happens because you are not totally into it. In the past, the world was more sexual because no one was hankering for sex. This hankering shows that the real is missing and there is only false. The whole modern mind has become sexual because sex act itself, the act I'm talking about, is not there. Even the sex act is transferred to the mind. It has become cerebral. It has become mental. You think about it. Even your act of sex is a thought process. Many people come and say that they go on thinking about it. They enjoy thinking about sex. We enjoy thinking about sex more than the actual act. Look at it. Does it not happen that way? Thinking about it, reading about it, seeing the sexual pictures, engaging in pornography. When someone gets married or in the process, he looks for those books with pictures of various positions, but there is not much substance in those, except the books that attract you. However, the books of Kama Sutra does not have attractive pictures, but it has very useful subject matter. If you can absorb that, then your interest in those pictures, in those talks, in those readings will vanish. Everyone enjoys this, but when the actual moment for sex comes, they suddenly feel they are not interested in it. They even feel they have become impotent. They feel vital energy while they are thinking, but when they want to move into the actual act, they feel there is no energy, no desire. They feel the body has become frozen, dead. What is happening to such people? Even the act has become mental. They can only think about it. They cannot do anything because doing will need you to involve with your whole being into it. And whenever there is any involvement of the whole, the head becomes uneasy, because then it can no more be the master. The head, the mind wants to remain as the master. It can no more be in control, and that is why the mind does not like it, and there becomes a problem. Tantra uses the sex act for you to become whole, but people are interested in Tantra for various unnatural reasons. Tantra uses the sex act to make you whole, but then you have to move in a totally different way meditatively. Sex has to become meditation. Then you have to move in it, forgetting all you have heard about it. You are just like the tribal people. Whatever you have studied about it, all that society has told about it, the church, your religion, your teachers, you have to forget everything that you have known, or you have been taught, or you have been told, or you have been conditioned into. Forget everything and get involved in it in your totality. Forget to control. Control is the barrier. Rather be possessed by the energy that comes in. Do not control it. Move in it as if you have become mad. The no mind state looks like madness. That is why the we use the word in Sufi terminology, kalandar or mazoob. They are so much lost in the love for that, they are for God, that they almost look like mad. Ramakrishna was one such person. He is walking on the street, he hears a word Ram or Krishna or any word, he will start dancing on the street without being bothered about anyone. But we are so full of etiquette. Even if we want to dance, but we will not, because how will it look like? We are not natural in that sense. They rather be possessed by it, do not control it, move in it as if you have become mad. The no mind state, when the mind is no more, it looks like madness. Become the body, become the animal, because animal is whole, he does not have the mind, but he is below mind, unconscious, and you are conscious. You can be conscious and unconscious simultaneously, but in most of the cases you act unconsciously. And when you enter into meditation, then slowly and slowly you begin to move from unconscious to the consciousness. Every act becomes conscious. But you look at it when you are eating food, are you conscious at that moment or you are unconscious? And as modern man is, only sex to be the easiest possibility to make you whole, because sex is the deepest biological center within you. You are born out of it. Your every cell is a sex cell, because the whole body is nothing else but a sex energy phenomena. The Sutra says, at the start of the sexual union, keep attentive on the fire. The excitement is the word used for that. Fire is more relevant than the word excitement. Be attentive on the fire, the energy that is bubbling into you in the beginning, and so continuing, overflowing that energy. Avoid embers in the end. And this makes the whole difference. For you, sex act is nothing else but release. So when you move into the act, you are in a hurry. I have heard a joke. You know, when the diplomats travel from one country to another along with delegation of the scientists, businessmen, and this and that. So it was a delegation from Earth to the moon. So they went on a goodwill visit, scientists and all different people, to study what kind of life is there on the moon, what kind of things happen, to exchange ideas. And so it happened after normal meetings, and so it was decided to study life on moon and earth. So it was to exchange how babies are born on moon and how babies are born on earth. So first it was a chance for the moon scientists to show how babies are born on moon. So the scientists called a moon girl and did something over her back with the hand movement, and a balloon appeared, and thereafter the balloon burst and a baby was born. Whether it happened that way or not is not important. It is what is important, the whole ideology, whole approach, what we want to communicate, because certain things which cannot be communicated In the words, it can only be communicated through jokes or something, stories. That's why there are so many stories, parables in Sufis, koans in Zen, and many stories, because stories hang around our consciousness and we never forget. Then it was this time for the earth scientist to show how baby was born. So he started the act the same way as we all know. So all the moon scientists and everyone gathered around them, make a circle to watch what's going on, how babies are born on the earth. Then the act finished. The moon scientists and everyone inquired, where is the baby? So at this, the earth scientist said, what is the hurry? The baby will come after 9 months. You know what did the moon scientists say? Moon scientists say, if the baby is to come after 9 months, and you say there is no hurry, then why were you in so much hurry coming to the end? Why were you so much in hurry coming to the end? This is what the sutra says. Avoid embers in the end. Be meditative, be calm throughout the act. Be totally into it. And this makes the whole difference. For you, the sex act is a release. Even the woman says, just finish out quickly. I'm sleepy, I want to go to sleep. Just finish it quickly. So what do we want to do? So when you move in it, you are always in a hurry. You just want to release. Overflowing energies will be released and you will feel at ease. And this at easeness is just a sort of weakness. Overflowing energy creates tensions, excitements. You feel something has to be done to this. When energy is released, you feel weak. That is why it is said, too much involvement in the sex act makes you weaker and weaker. You may take this weakness as the energy is released as relaxation, because the excitement is no more, the overflowing energy is no more, you can relax. But this relaxation is negative relaxation. If you can relax just by throwing the energy, it is at a great cost. And this relaxation is only physical. It cannot go deeper. It cannot become spiritual. And the purpose of Tantra is to make each act. It is not only the sex act, it is even eating. You can make it spiritual. You can eat in a meditative way. You can walk in a meditative way. In Zen monasteries, there is a ritual called, not a ritual way, Buddha walk. And you see how calculated a step is moving. The first sutra says, do not be in a hurry. Do not hanker for the end. That is, avoid embers in the end. Remain with the beginning. As you have started with so much of energy bubbling in you, there are two parts of sex act, the beginning and the end. You are one way in the beginning and in the end another way. You have to remain the same way, whether it is a beginning or the end or the middle. Remain with the beginning. Keep attentive on the fire. When in the beginning or in the end or during the entire act, the beginning is more relaxed, warm. but do not be in a hurry to move to the end. Forget the end completely, that you have to end. Then you are always in the middle. There are two extremes, the beginning and the end. But the real way is to be in the middle. Neither the beginning is important nor the end is important. You begin in a way and you end in another way. The entire process should remain one way, flowing one way, waving just simple. At the start of the sexual union, keep attentive on the fire in the beginning. While you are overflowing, do not think in terms of release. Remain with this overflowing energy throughout the entire act, from beginning to the end. Do not seek any release. Forget about it completely. Be whole in this warm beginning. Remain with your beloved or your lover as if you have become one. And when you become one, the cycle completes. The energy flows from the North Pole to the South Pole in a magnet or in an electric bulb. The energy moves from the positive to the negative. The circle is complete. Illumination happens. Man is a positively charged energy. Woman is a negatively charged energy. Through the sexual union, the two energies has to merge into one another. The cycle has to complete, and in the completion of the cycle, the wholeness comes. You attain to totality. These are the three possibilities. Two lovers meeting can create three figures, geometrical figures. You may have even read about it or even seen an old alchemical picture in which man and a woman are standing naked within three geometrical figures. One figure is a square, another figure is triangle, and the third is circle. A square, triangle, and circle. The sex act has to become a circle. This is one of the oldest alchemical and tantric analysis of sex act. Ordinarily, when you are in the act, there are four persons. This is represented by the square. It has four sides. Four angles are there because you are yourself divided into two, yes or no, to go into it or not to go into two. Always two minds, because you have a left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. Both are against one another in a conflict. The same is the woman. So that represents the four sides. You are two, she is two, makes two. 2 and 2 makes 4. There are 4 persons, not 2. That is why when you marry someone, you are not marrying a woman or a man. Instead, you are marrying the whole set of women and whole set of men. 4 angles are there because you yourself are divided into 2, into the thinking part and the feeling part, because the left brain is thinking part and the right brain is the feeling part. Your partner is also divided into 2. You are 4 persons. 2 persons are not meeting there. Instead, 4 persons are meeting. Your thinking part and her thinking part, your feeling part, and her feeling part. It is a crowd. There can be no deep meeting really. There are four corners, and the meeting is just false. It looks like a meeting, but it is not. There can be no communication between your deeper part, which is hidden, and your beloved's deeper part, which is also hidden. Only two heads are meeting. Only two thinking processes are engaged in this act. Not two feeling parts, they are hidden. The second type of the meeting can be of a triangle. You are two angles at the base. Triangle, you are two angles at the base. For this single moment, for a sudden moment, you become one. That's what the triangle represents. Isosceles triangle. Two angles at the base. That is how you begin the journey. Then all of a sudden, you become one, the peak. And for a sudden moment, your two-ness is lost and you become one. This is better than the square meeting, the meeting of four. At least for a single moment, there comes a oneness. That oneness gives you health, vitality, and you feel alive and young once again. But the third is the best of all. All angles are vanished. Circle have no angle. A square has four angles. Triangle have three angles. But in the circle, the square and triangle have vanished, dissolved their presence. There is no triangle visible, there is no square visible in the circle, just oneness. The third is the best, and the third is the Tantric meeting. You become a circle. There are no angles. The meeting is not for a single moment, as happens in a triangle. The two vanishes, dissolves into one another for a single moment. The meeting is really non-temporal. There is no time in it, and this can happen only if you are not seeking any release, any ejaculation. If you are seeking that, then it will become a triangle. Because the moment there is this release, the contact point is lost. Remain in the beginning, as the Sutra says. Do not move to the end. How to remain in the beginning? How many things are to be remembered? First, do not take the sex act as the way of going anywhere. Do not take it as a means to attain something. It is the end. There is no end to it. It is not a means. Secondly, do not think of the future. Remain with the present. And if you cannot remain in the present, in the beginning part of the sex act, you are never in the present, because the very nature of the act is such that you are thrown into the present. We will continue this In the next session, as time has become, I'll continue from here what it is necessary. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.